No, really, I still have a cold. It didn't disappear in the last hour, you bastards. My name is Total Biscuit, and I suck at Starcraft 2. Wait a minute, didn't we just do this? Well, I suppose we're going to have another video. So, this is the final video in a series of 5 fights that I did against Malvu on that one fateful evening. So, let's see if I actually learned anything over the course of the hour and a half or so it took to play those 5 games, with very little in between other than watching the replays. So, we'll speed it up as always to start with. He's got his gateway up. There goes the second pylon. It's all good in terms of the building. And there's my block. This time a successful block with a barracks behind it. I learned from my last video, built my barracks there, and of course I attempt to defend that particular choke point against the enemy. I also managed to scout, as you can see, successfully there, and saw that he was going early zealots, and my response to this was to build 2 barracks, and I'm going to build 2 reactors there and go heavy marines with a view to an early M&M. That's marines and medevacs. I would like to explain this, but I can't. Not only was it a stupid place to put it, but it was way too early. Yet again, a complete waste of time. Could have built lots more marines, could have got a second factory up. Going very early there for a factory for the sole purpose of getting medevac units, which you can get from the starport. Requires the building of a factory first. My economy's looking pretty solid right now. It's like, look at the units here. This is the mistake that I made. I got so gun-shy yet again. He is certainly outdoing me in terms of the number of builders he's got, but my units far outstrip his. I could go in and I could do some damage, but no. In fact, I sit around and in comes a Void Ray and a Phoenix there. Void Ray, a ground attack aircraft, which gradually does more damage the longer it targets an enemy. The beam actually gets more intense. But I have anti-air in the form of a squad of Marines, and I'm sending them in there right now to go after his Void Ray, attempt to chase it off, almost killing the Phoenix there. Not too bad at all. Chasing it away there and moving back into position, which was actually quite dumb. I should have hung around there and waited for him to invariably come back. Now, he's built a bunch of Phoenixes there, and I can't really explain why. They are, of course, anti-aircraft, and I've shown no sign of getting aircraft as of yet. He doesn't know that. He's not scouted me. He doesn't have any observers or anything like that. So, there's my starport being built right there, and trying to build medevac units, but I am sort of cock-blocked by the fact that I don't have any supply depots. And he brings his Void Ray in there yet again. Don't have anything to intercept it, which means he's able to do some damage. You can see the Ray getting more and more intense there, doing more and more damage. That's the mechanic of the Void Ray. Go after it with the Marines and almost kill it. 4 hit points. 4 hit points, ladies and gentlemen. It's so unfortunate. I was kicking myself and screaming over vent at this point. Now, I must admit, I still can't fathom why that pylon was there, just some form of scouting, one might assume. Have a look at his base here. He's literally got nothing that he could stop me with right now. He's got his fleet beacon up. He's able to build carriers, but he doesn't have the resources for it yet. And he's got 4 photon cannons arranged in banks of 2, whereas I have 19 Marines and 2 medevac units. I could very easily use the transports to drop the Marines to the left and completely wreck his starports there. I could have done it. Did I? Well, no. I got gun-shy. Therein lies the problem. The mistake of many new players is they hang back too far, they wait for too many units, and they lose the momentum that they could have had I indeed scouted. Now, while I scouted early in the game, I got tunnel visioned once again with my building after being a little bit freaked out with his early attack with the Void Ray and tried to build as many units as possible. I scouted ahead there for no good reason whatsoever, wasted the scout in fact, when I could have used it. So I've paused the game here to show you what he now has. Because I was so slow, he got 2 carriers out. Had I gone earlier, I could have destroyed his carrier building ability, and actually I could have won the game at this point, but no. Those 2 carriers are going to be an absolute nightmare for my 19 Marines and 3 medevac units, so let's see exactly what happens here and if I'm able to do any damage. Of course, since I didn't scout, I moved in completely the wrong place and ran straight into the photon cannons, taking very early damage, able to deal with the zealots particularly well. Medevac units will extend the longevity of the Marines, but certainly not enough to deal with it. He's actually got his carriers hanging back there, deliberately out of range of my Marines, who could certainly do damage to the carriers. He's building more interceptors as he then moves in from the side to flank me. I don't see them, and I get taken out very fast by the interceptors. Medevac units getting shot up there as well. There go the Marines, and I succeed in destroying effectively nothing other than a photon cannon and a couple of zealots, which is not exactly great. So, pause the game here, just will at least slow it down at any rate and see my response to that. Building a lot more Marines, because of course I foresee a counter-attack coming in, and I wouldn't be too outside of the realms of possibility there. What kind of annoys me there is you can see my resources in the top right-hand screen there. I've got so many, and I could be spending them. I'm not even building any units out of my factory there. I'm building out of the starport, but I don't have a tech lab, and I do not have a reactor, so I'm not making the most optimal use of that, which is very unfortunate. Now, he has 4 carriers. This is a huge threat. 4 carriers can be a game ender. Do I have enough to fend it off? Well, right now I've got a Viking, which is a nice anti-air unit, 3 medevac units, and 23 Marines, building an awful lot more of them. That might be enough, but we shall see. Now, moving in there to intercept, and you see the complete mess that's being made of the carriers there. A lot of damage being done. I lost a bunch of Marines. So let's rewind it and show you this in a little bit slower motion so we can demonstrate just exactly what happened here. To be fair, that was a reasonable trade there. 2 carriers for around 20 or so Marines. Let's see what happens. We'll get the speed up just right. And you can see them now, the minimap moving in, slow it down a little bit, and in come the carriers. One is already at half health from the damage I did to it in the base. Moving the carriers in there, trying to avoid my Marines, but I have spotted them moving the Marines in there. He's trying to run away. I am able to catch up. He deploys his interceptors, and I start focusing fire on the lead carrier, which folds like paper. And a second one going down there as well, losing an awful lot of Marines, but I'm able to destroy the second carrier before all of my Marines go down. My Viking, unfortunately, for a lot of that fight, firing on the interceptors, which is a common mistake if you don't properly target your anti-air units. They can end up firing on those tiny little annoying fighters. And the Phoenix there attacking the Viking. The Viking able to destroy the Phoenix and then gets wiped out by Zerga fighters after that. I literally have nothing to destroy them with here other than that one air turret, which is out of range of the actual carriers themselves. So I'm building as fast as I can, Vikings and Marines, Vikings and Marines, to try and drive him away there. Even deciding perhaps to move the Marauders in there just as a little bit of cannon fodder. I lose a couple of buildings there, nothing major. A little bit of production, could be an awful lot worse there. Decided to chase him down with a squad of 4 Marines there, move in there after the carriers, losing the Marines to the carriers, but I'm able to bring in additional Viking support, which moves in to attack the carriers directly, and Marines moving in there from the top, nailing and boxing in that one carrier as the last carrier gets shot to pieces by that small squad of Marines there, healed by the medevac, able to deal with the interceptors and drive that carrier away. The problem is, of course, if you look at the unit screen, he is still in a reasonable position with a couple of carriers operational and 2 more now built there, and I don't have anything to counter it. He's got the economic momentum. As you can see, I am not spending effectively at all. I should have built far more production facilities, and I should have teched, which is something I did not do. I'm attempting to fight his end-tier units with something which is quite frankly not up to scratch at all. Now, let's have a look at this. You see here, there's his endgame unit. It's the mothership. This is a pre-nerf mothership. They nerfed this into the ground a couple of days after this game. Even then, it's still quite powerful. Right now, it's obscenely difficult to kill. A lot of hit points and the ability to cloak anything nearby. That really will absolutely wipe out everything that I've got, as you can imagine. And he's moving in there, cloaks up his carriers with a couple of zealots at the back just for safekeeping. Moves in there. You can see my unit screen. I have nothing. 25 Marines, 1 Viking. Let's pause the game here. Have a look at the way my forces are set up. I've got a good number of medivac units, which will, of course, give me a little bit of survivability, as well as a couple of missile turrets that I built after the last attack. But with a mothership in there, and without any battle cruisers or anything like that, it really isn't going to happen. My Marines getting wiped out there. I can't even see the carriers before I get wiped out by the interceptors. Absolutely annihilated, and there we go. But what do we learn? Well, my defense was a little better. My economy was a little better, and I was able to drive off a couple of attacks successfully, particularly in the early game. I'm learning, but I am still, ladies and gentlemen, absolutely terrible at StarCraft 2. I'll see you next time.